This video shows how to change the subject of a formula. So the subject of the formula is the letter that's on one side by itself, that everything else is equal to. So when we're changing the subject, we need to use the change side, change sign rule. And when we're doing that, what we mean by change side, change sign is if a letter or a number moves to the other side of equals, it has to go to its opposite sign. So the opposite of multiply is divide, and the opposite of divide is multiply. Add and subtract are opposites, and square root are opposites. So here's some examples of changing the subject. We want the subject of all of these to be B. In this first one here, the subject at the minute is T, because T is by itself on one side, and we want that to be a B instead. So in this one, we want to leave B on that side, and we want to move plus G over onto this side here. So because G's plus on this side, when it moves over it'll change to having a minus in front of it. So I'm going to write the T first, then minus G equals B. So that is the problem done. However, normally we like to have the letter on its own at the beginning of the formula. So what we're allowed to do is just completely swap both sides. And because we're swapping both sides, we don't need to do any change in sign. So we can write that as B equals T take away G. On the next one, the subject at the minute is F, because F's by itself. So we want to leave the B here and move the Y over. Now the Y has no sign in front of it. Remember, the sign that's in front of the letter or number is the one that belongs to it. If it doesn't have anything, you just assume that it has a plus. So if this actually has a plus on this side, when it moves over it'll change to a minus. The B's staying there, and we don't need to write the plus in front of the B anymore because we know that it's positive. So the F is staying there as well, and then the Y is coming across and changing to minus. So that one was done in one step. This last one on this line, we've got B here with minus 4, but we want it to be by itself on this side. So minus 4 has to jump over to this side, and minus changes to plus. So it would be B equals H plus 4. Then we've got some that involve multiplication, because as we know, AB means A times B. So if at the minute the B is being multiplied by A, when A moves to the other side it has to become a divide. And the nicest way to write divide is just to put it on the bottom of a fraction. So how we're going to rearrange this one is T over A equals B. And again, better to start off with the subject that you want, so B equals T over A. Next one, again, involves multiplication. So here we've got PAR, which means P times A times R, and on this side we've got 3B, 3 times B. So the only thing really that needs to move is the 3, so that B's by itself. And again, just like the A in the last example, it needs to divide on the other side because it's being multiplied by B. So PAR can stay on that side. It's going to get divided by 3, and that would be equal to B. And again, we can rearrange it and write B equals PAR over 3. The last one here, what do we need to do to it? So we need to get B on its own. To isolate the B, we're better to start getting rid of things furthest away first. So the 2 is right beside the B. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the plus 5 first over to the other side, and it'll change to minus 5. So we'll get V minus 5 equals 2B. And then to get B on its own, we want to have the 2 away. So just like in the last example, it'll have to divide on the other side because it's a times on this side. So V minus 5, the whole thing has to get divided by 2, and that tells us what B is equal to. And again, if you had room, you could rearrange it and write B equals V minus 5 over 2. In these examples then, on this first one, the B is on this side, and the problem is it's being divided by 2. So if it's being divided by 2, when 2 crosses over it has to multiply. Another way of thinking about that is that the C on the original side, it's not a fraction. So any number can be made into a fraction, any number or letter, by putting a 1 on the bottom, and then we can think of it as cross multiplying. So the 2 is going to multiply up onto this side and be beside the c, and the 1, well, it can multiply by the b, but as you know, 1 times b is just b. So if we do that, we'll get 2c equals 1b. In other words, b equals 2c. And last one here, this one's a bit trickier. So as you can see, b is over here by itself, so we're going to have to get rid of things from the outside in. So the first thing, I'm not going to get rid of the a first, I'm going to get rid of this bit here first. Now the problem with this is that minus belongs to the AB, so the minus belongs to the AB. The 3 is actually a positive number, so it has a secret plus in front of it. So when the 3 gets moved over, it'll change to minus 3. So I'm going to get PQ plus 1 minus 3 equals minus AB. And then we could simplify that a little bit, because 1 minus 3 is minus 2 equals minus AB. And then to get B on its own, well, it's being multiplied by A, but if you think about your rules for negative numbers, in order for this to be negative AB, it's only either A or B that has to be negative. So what we can do is we can decide that the negative belongs to the A, and then when we move the A, we can move the negative with it. So to get A to the other side, it'll have to become a divide because it's timesing by B. So we'll get PQ minus 2 divided by minus A equals B. So final answer, B equals PQ minus 2 divided by minus A. And really, it doesn't matter what this part ends up like, because you're answering the question by changing the subject. So as long as your answer starts with B equals, this part over here, it doesn't matter how complicated it is, you're most likely not going to have to do anything with it, so you can just leave it like that.